Dr. Lazarus, once an esteemed medical professor at Gilmouth University, he became obsessed with his own bizarre experimentation into creating the perfect man, and fled the academic scene. He abandoned this old life and went on the run, forced to deal with the dangerous underground of medical science and crime in order to accomplish his lofty goals. Jeffrey was a promising young medical student who was in the process of learning from Lazarus. When the doctor decided to leave the university, he confided in Jeffrey as his most trustworthy student. Jeffrey decided to serve under him in his project, and the two are now on the run from the law, various criminal circuits, and at least one otherworldly being. Jeffrey rushes frantically through the dark halls of the long-abandoned hospital, his footsteps loudly echoing throughout. Sweating profusely, he bursts into the cramped surgery room, where his partner, Dr. Henry Lazarus, is standing in a blood-stained lab coat, his arms folded. He stands in front of a fold-out table with a mutilated corpse on it, that they'd both been working on.
Doctor, they're here, we need to go!
He shouts, pointing down the hallway.
They're coming? The hell's wrong with you, man? Get over here and help me move the specimen.
The two lift the body and carry it out as quickly as they can. They reach the door and realize that it will be difficult fitting it through. Looking to each other, they both knowingly flip the body around in an effort to get through. In doing this, Jeffrey mistakenly knocks the head against the door frame, causing it to fall off completely. Lazarus glares at him before turning it around again and fitting it through.
We have to leave out the back. It looks like they were all coming in the front,
Jeffrey says. They begin running through the green-tinted hallways, illuminated only by the light from the windows. They maneuver around debris and reach the stairs.
Damn it, Jeffrey, go grab that barrel container.
Jeffrey drops his side of the body, much to Lazarus's lament. He grabs a plastic barrel container, drains it of its contents, and brings it back. They shove the body in crudely, as they hear footsteps nearby. "No time!" Lazarus shouts, kicking the barrel down the stairs. They run down after it, as the clacking noises draw the gangsters towards them. As they reach the bottom, they pick up the barrel once more, only barely getting it out before the gangsters reach the stairs. After all the trouble, they get out to the barren parking lot and reach the van.
Should I put it in the back?
Jeffrey asks between heavy breaths. No, just leave it here. It's well beyond the point of being of any use to us anyway. Too damaged. Jeffrey stands there in shock as Lazarus swiftly moves into the front seat, starting the engine. Jeffrey eventually hops in with him as they speed off back into the streets. They can see the cars of their enemies following in the distance. Now, Jeffrey, we've not much time. We're all out of supplies and specimens. However, I believe we're right on the cusp of accomplishing our primary goal. We need to visit two people, Dr. Benway and Dr. West. Benway is in town and he'll sell us all the supplies.
Dr. West? From Miskatonic?
The one and only.
Do you know where he is?
Not a clue. He's very elusive. But Benway is more immediately pressing anyway. And he's out here, as I recall. He barely got out of Anexia for his crimes against humanity. He's an incredibly skilled physician, but I never understood why he always associated himself with junkies.
What's he doing here?
Whatever illegal operations people are requesting these days, though he's always seen surgery as more of an art form than anything practical. We have a very different philosophy on the matter, needless to say. He'll have plenty of instruments and perhaps even a few specimens. He owes me anyway. They pull the van up in front of an old factory just parallel a suburban neighborhood. Why are we here? Asks Jeffrey. It's a very existential question, Lazarus replies coldly. They enter to find Benway transplanting the organs of a mugwump into a human.
Lazarus! Christ, man, is that you?
Indeed it is, Benway. How was Anexia?
You know damned well the bastards kicked me out. The whole place is crawling with Intozone these days, and that's something I want nothing to do with. Still trying to create the perfect man, Lazarus? Sounds very fascist. You always gave off that Nazi eugenics vibe. What does that mean in your mind? It's not like Dr. Moreau, is it?
I once had the dubious honor of reading Dr. Moreau's notes. He was little more than a fetishistic hack. No, I do not wish to turn man to beast. Rather, man into a greater man, when devoid of flaws.
Not exactly helping your case here. Why exactly did you leave your scholarly life and success behind?
Please, conventional academia would only scoff at my ideological superiority. My works were wasted in such a confined environment. I'm a man of vision, far beyond what they could ever appreciate. At that moment, a massive insect creature walks into the room, carrying a tray of medical instruments.
What the hell is that?
Jeffrey exclaims, stepping back. The creature sets the tray down and stares at Jeffrey, tilting its head.
Curious specimen, our good Mr. Samsa. Doesn't say much anymore, but when I found him, he was a scared, confused mess. Seemed to be trapped in a world of unimaginable complexity that he had no way out of, like some sort of bureaucratic labyrinth. Nexia's a weird place. I just barely got him by the Interzone agent, and I've been using him as an assistant as of late. Not paying attention as he talks, while slicing the patient, Benway severs a vital nerve, sending blood spewing everywhere. Benway takes a piece of chewing gum and attempts to reconnect it. How did you ever manage to get a medical license? Jeffrey asks. If I told you that, you would never visit the doctor again. I see. You should know by now, as I trust the good Dr. Lazarus has been working with you for a while, that this is a dangerous game, boy, and it's easy to get away with this shit in the third world. Nobody gives a shit what you do there. It takes a real master to work right out of the city like this. It takes the precision and grace of a true surgeon, he says, stitching the mugwump up with a dramatic and expressive arm gesture. Sure, I had some low points. I used to perform surgery out of the back of a taco van in Tijuana. In fact, I used to do a lot of work in Tijuana. So, Benway, we actually need to know if you have any instruments or living specimens we could use. I do indeed, in the back. Follow me. They travel into the dark back room, following the sounds of echoing screams. They see trails of bloody handprints on the wall, illuminated by a handful of desk lamps set up on the floor. They enter a room full of caged people in crates. How are you folks doing? Benway laughs. One shouts, You won't get away with this. Sure, darling, and you'll get out just fine, I'm sure. They continue walking towards the crates. They pass one labeled Steely Dan. Wow, that's a big crate. You must be a big fan of their music, Jeffrey remarks. Oh no, that's, yes, the music. I'm a big fan. Sure. Samsa helps them carry a pile of bodies into the van. I'd let you work out of here, Benway says, but I have to go soon. This hideout may have already been compromised. I understand, Lazarus replies. Suddenly, they hear a screaming from inside. The party rushes in to see the man on the table has become conscious, and they need to put him together fast. Lazarus pushes aside and begins to work, connecting organs and stitching him up. He'll probably make it. Masterful, Benway proclaims. Wow, Doctor, you did it, Jeffrey exclaims pridefully. Quiet down, Jeffrey. I'm trying to calm down. Could I have one moment? I just performed a tense operation, you know. Yes, Doctor. Say, do you know where Dr. West is these days? Does anyone? You'd have an easier time looking for the current Dr. Frankenstein. She's the first of the Frankenstein lineage to continue the reanimation game. She seems to be quite the rising star amidst the underground medical community these days. Where could I find her? Probably out of the old Frankenstein estate. I've always been a little skeptical of woman doctors. Apparently everyone can be a doctor now. It's bloody social Marxism. Right, okay, thanks. I'll keep her in mind. Last I heard, she was working with Dr. Tillinghast to summon the great god Pan with their pineal glands or some such nonsense. The kids these days used to be so straightforward. There was a beauty to that, I think. They say goodbye to Benway, shaking hands and driving off once more. You certainly do keep strange company, Doctor. Certainly do, Jeffrey, present company included. Hey, look, Doctor, I just wanted you to know how much it means to me to work under a great doctor like yourself. Taking me under your wing like this, you've been like a father to me, so really, thanks for everything. You're an excellent surgeon, and I dare say a great friend. Oh, would you shut your innocuous mouth for 1 minute, Jeffrey? I'm trying to drive, and you only put me to sleep. Right, yes, Doctor. They find a quiet motel for the night, taking on separate rooms. Lazarus keeps the bodies locked away in the van. The next morning, Jeffrey knocks on the doctor's door. Ready to head off again? He reads from a newspaper. Jeffrey, I do believe that reading newspaper comics is the most profound way of evoking existential dread. Absolutely, And look at this. There was an accident at the racetrack. One of the tires flew out after a crash and decapitated a row of people. Do you think they had to pay extra to be in the splash zone? Jeffrey laughs. I'm quite jovial this morning, Jeffrey. We've much to do.
Yes, of course. And in the interest of your training, I'll be putting you in charge of our first operation. You need the experience, and we've once more come upon a surplus of specimens. Jeffrey remembers very clearly what happened last time he was left in charge. He'd attempted to build them a temporary hideout, but accidentally made it entirely out of non-Euclidean angles and summoned a shining trapahedron. Yes, of course. What will we be doing? Lazarus hands Jeffrey a stack of notes. I want to see if these work. If they do, we're one step closer to achieving our goal. Alright. They begin walking to the van, but are suddenly alerted by another presence. A shining figure descends from the sky, clad in old-fashioned and shimmering red garb.
Lazarus, it is Mephistopheles. I have come to reclaim your soul.
Shit, he mutters in blunt response.
To be continued.